Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I offer one-on-one angel sessions, soul mentoring, and a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. And I'm also happy to share with you that I have a new oracle deck, the Earth Angel Oracle. It has 70 beautiful cards in the deck, each one designed to inspire and encourage you, and to bring forward the beautiful love of the angels. And I'll put a link in the show notes where you can learn more about it. So if you want to carry this energy with you or have your own angel readings, I have designed a deck to support you in that. And you can learn more about all of my offerings at my website, illuminatingsouls.com. And you can also find me at Facebook. My page has the same name, Illuminating Souls. So lots of ways we can connect, but for now, the angels and I are here to love and support you. So as I record this, it is another early morning here, and the sky is overcast, which is not uncommon for summer and fall mornings here in the Bay Area. I am quite certain that within a few hours we will have blue skies, but everything is very still, and I really love the stillness. And so perhaps I can orient you a little bit to what to expect from this episode. So we're going to be together for about an hour. I know that can seem like a long time for a podcast episode, but this is a sleep podcast after all, and my intention is to create an expanse of sanctuary for you where you can rest and replenish and perhaps even drift off into your sleep cycle. And I do this because I listen to a sleep podcast every night as I'm going to sleep, and my preference is for episodes that are an hour long so that I don't feel rushed or anxious to fall asleep, because that is simply not compatible with drifting off. And so I love hour-long podcasts for that reason, and that's why this episode and all of my episodes are about an hour long. So this first part that we're in is where I introduce myself to you and I welcome you into this space, and I might share a spiritual principle or two with you and call in the angels to be with us. They're already here, but I love sharing the ritual with you. And this part can be anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. And then we move into story time. And story time might be stories from my own life. I might read to you from something that's in the public domain. We might flip through the pages of an old TV guide or old community cookbook. So a variety of content. In this episode, it's going to be a story time with stories and ramblings from my own life. But to get us started here, I wanted to share with you a really beautiful pearl of wisdom that I read on Facebook today from Tasha Silver. She is a spiritual teacher and an author, and I quite often deeply resonate with what she shares. And this is a poster that she had posted to her page, so all credit goes to Tasha Silver. And she writes, "Don't take whatever state you're in right now as being any sign of the future. It's just where you are right now. If you just say, okay, right now I'm in a sea of uncertainty. More remains to be revealed. But dear God, let me be in this mystery, trusting that every true need will always be met and the right actions will be shown. If they're not shown, it often just means it is not time yet." And that just deeply resonated for me and still resonates for me this morning as I record this. I think many of you who listen to this podcast would agree that you are empathic and deeply intuitive. And sometimes it's a little bit challenging to discern, is what I'm sensing and feeling an intuitive hit, or is it simply my fear and anxiousness? Gratefully, I'm able to report to you that 99.9% of the time, my fears and my anxiousness are not precognitive. They're not flashes or glimpses of my future experiences. It's simply the way my mind does risk assessment. It's like scan the horizon for all the things that might disappoint me or might not turn out well. And it's like I live them before they ever happen. And as the angels once said to me, I have a really bad track record, thankfully, of my worries coming true. And this quote from Tasha takes it a step further. Just because we are where we are right now, it does not mean it is indicative of our future. So if we find ourselves in a place of the unknown, of uncertainty, of discomfort, I love how she says it's okay to say right now, I'm in a sea of uncertainty, and there's more to be revealed. Sometimes we just are in the mystery, or we're living the question, as Rilke says. And I gain great comfort from that reminder. I'm someone who likes to know things. I love having things figured out. And when I don't know, it can be uncomfortable for me. One of the things of being in this line of work, so I'm now, let's say I started my business in 2006. So I think this might be my 18th year. It's too early to do the math in my head. Let's just say a lot of years. I have had to make space for the unknown and the mystery of being a solo entrepreneur in a spiritually based business. For instance, in my business, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I don't necessarily utilize a launch strategy or a product calendar that has tentpole releases that I build up to through the year so that when I offer them, I'm pretty confident that people will respond. I tend to work the drip method, which means about every 6 weeks or so I offer something new, and I never really know who is going to show up. It's a mystery. And I will tell you, this is the hardest part of my work, or one of the hardest things. And I always get this, I don't want to say always, I often get this low-level anxiousness when I am in that place in between when I have announced my class and when it begins. Because quite often people sign up at the last minute, so I can spend days wondering if anyone is even going to register for a class, which would be okay if I handled that part well. But I don't. All of these years later, I still get anxious, and I'll say to Wes, I don't think anyone's coming. What am I going to do? And he'll say, that's okay, you're going to have 3 or 4 people sign up at the last minute. And I always believe him because he knows everything. And it'll calm me down a little bit. And I know this pattern within myself, so I've had to learn to make space for it. And you might say, but Laurel, why don't you just heal whatever that is? And I will say, I have tried that, and yet it is still here. So, how to hold for the uncertainty has really been one of my life lessons. For instance, as I record this, it is the middle of September, and I just got the download yesterday morning about a new class that I am starting, and it's going to start in 6 days. That's not much time to market something, but that usually doesn't matter with my audience. And so as soon as I hit send, I started coming into this place of who's opened the email, who's clicked on a link, who's going to register, who's going to sign up, keeping this conversation open. And so the timing of this pearl of wisdom from Tasha Silver just feels so apropos for me today. And perhaps it does for you too. I'm in the uncertainty. It's okay. It's okay to be in the uncertainty. Because the molecules of creation are weaving together right now. God's hand is in the stream with us, co-creating in the light. So she writes, let me be in this mystery, trusting that every true need will always be met and the right actions will be shown. So how about if we take a deep breath in together on this? And just breathe. And there's a phrase that is often used in affirmative prayer, and it says, I affirm that right now where we are, God is, and all is well. So let's affirm that together. To take that breath in, and I affirm that right now where we are, God is, and all is well. And just breathe. See, the thing is about affirmative prayer and affirmations is they don't always need to feel true. It's not always about achieving a sustained note where you go through every moment of your day knowing that it's true. It's wonderful if we can do that, for sure. But I think that sets the bar really high. What if right now it can be enough to just believe it for the next few seconds, for the next minute, to just allow the vibration of that truth to come into our beingness and begin to build new pathways of light. So I affirm that right now, where we are, God is, and all is well. And just breathe that in as truth for this moment. The next moment will be what it is, but in this moment, we can breathe and embody this as truth. So the angels are already here. but I will call them in so that you know they are here as well. So beautiful angels on high, I rejoice in this opportunity to come together with you, to shine love upon our beloveds that are listening to this message. So angels, I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love, waves of light, waves of healing, of well-being, of inspiration, and of faith. Angels, I ask that you soothe and smooth away our worries and the anxiousness we might be feeling, knowing that the breath of God is breathing through us, and that right now where we are, God is, and all is well. For just this breath and the breath after, and maybe the next 1,000 breaths and beyond that as well. So dear ones, just take a breath with me, allowing the divine light to flow to you now. This divine light, it is part of your essence. It is part of your beingness. This divine light is not separate from you. It is that from which you are born, and you have never been separate from. We just forget. As my guides say, we go through the portal of amnesia, and we forget who and what we are as divine beings in human form. So breathe and affirm and remember that you are a beloved in this universe. You are made of the breath of God. You are made of divine light. And the love is streaming to you and through you right now. And this love is radiating to all that you love in your life, to every situation, to every circumstance, to every person, to every animal, to every molecule of your life right now is receiving this infusion of love. And just breathe, allowing this to flow into your body, into your mind, and into your heart. Feeling the support of God and the angels with you right now. The angels say, give us your worries. They are lighter than air, and we will transform them into beauty and goodness on your behalf. And so, my beautiful friends, just breathe. And if you are preparing for sleep, to cozy on up and snuggle on in. I myself love lots of blankets and pillows. And allow the angels to bring you these waves of relaxation. And so while you rest, your angels will be with you. They will take good care of you. And while you rest, I'm going to tell you some stories as we move on into story time. So for story time, I have a life ramble that I'm going to share with you. I'm not really sure ultimately where we're going to travel. Maybe this particular thread of rambling may go the whole episode, It might switch into something else. I'm not quite sure. But I want to talk to you and have a conversation about towels. Yes, towels. Those absorbent pieces of material that, if we're fortunate, we have more than one of in our lives. And this is definitely a conversation that I would imagine is going to skew very much towards how we utilize towels here in the United States. This is definitely going to be a first world kind of conversation. And I want to share with you what inspired it. I don't know that inspiration is the right word, but that was the impetus, perhaps, for this conversation. As I was getting ready this morning, I knew I would be recording this episode, and I hadn't quite decided what it was going to be about. I had some thoughts. There was some material I thought I could read through with you, and I love doing that. But those episodes take a little bit more time to create because I might have to re-record something or skip ahead. So it just takes a little bit more time to craft those episodes, and I'm going to be recording and editing this episode all in one day, so you have it tomorrow. And I really wanted this to be a really graceful episode to record and edit, and I find that these episodes flow best when I'm just rambling and telling you stories from my own life, because I don't have to necessarily record something multiple times to get it right. Rambling comes easily to me. I don't know that it's easy to listen to, but this part is easy for me, or easier. So as I was in the bathroom this morning, I was contemplating and getting slightly annoyed with one of my towels. So when we first moved into this house, when Wes and I moved into this house, it would have been the end of 2007, early 2008. And we went to buy towels for the bathroom. At the time, a store called Linens and Things was still open. They have since closed down. Very similar vibe and business model to Bed Bath & Beyond, which has now since sadly closed as well. And they had these beautiful lilac-colored towels from Nate Berkus, who is a famous designer now. He has had his own shows. He was on Oprah for a long time. And we loved them. And in all likelihood, we had coupons, because Linens and Things was big on their coupons, the same way Bed Bath & Beyond was. And so we bought, I think we might have bought washcloths. Neither one of us are big washcloth users. Now, I don't know why you need to know that, but that's just our vibe. We bought hand towels. We bought bath towels and bath sheets. Now, I don't know what the towel sizing is in other parts of the world, but here in the U.S., we have bath sheets, which are bigger than bath towels. So typically a bath towel can be anywhere between 50 to 60 inches long, and a bath sheet typically is about 70 inches long. It's not a sheet, it's the same material as a towel, it's just bigger, and it's called a bath sheet. And being in a larger sized body, I have always appreciated the invention of the bath sheet, and so we bought hand towels and bath towels and bath sheets. And I think we must have bought 3 or 4 of the hand towels. I know you're probably wondering, how is this possibly a story, Laurel? But give me a minute and I'll get there. Remember, this is a sleep podcast, so my bar is pretty low here. in terms of telling a riveting story. So, over the years, especially the hand towels, because those get used multiple times a day as we're washing our hands, versus a bath sheet gets used once a day. So if I take a shower, my husband takes a shower once a day, we use the towel once a day. Versus a hand towel, I have no idea how many times a day I wash my hands, but it's a lot. So they get used more. And over the years, one by one, these towels have gotten stained, schmutz, towels. They fall by the wayside at some point. But I still had a few in reserve because we had bought multiples. Well, over the past 2 years, this weird phenomenon started happening around our house. And I didn't understand what was happening, but what would happen is there would be these yellow stains on our towels. And I didn't know where they were coming from. If I'm making a red sauce in the kitchen and sauce gets on a towel, I know that was red sauce. But I don't have yellow stuff in the house. So for a while, I thought maybe my hand soap was staining the towels, and I switched hand soaps. And that seemed to alleviate the issue. And the other thing is, every once in a while, I would see these little yellow droplets in the bathroom sink. And I would think, what is that? It used to be every once in a while, our water would be a little rusty because we live in a really old house. Well, not really old if you're from Europe, because you have houses that are from the 1700s. This house was built in 1938, but it had galvanized plumbing, which doesn't hold up well over all of these years. And so sometimes our water would bring a little bit of rust. So that I was kind of used to, but we had our house completely replumbed in 2021, so that's not an issue anymore. So I didn't know what this yellow was, but it stained a bunch of my towels. And then, like 2 months ago, Wes and I were harvesting our tomatoes. I've shared with you before that we have like 12 massive tomato plants in our backyard, and we have so many tomatoes. And so we've been going out there and harvesting them and giving them to our neighbors and our friends and our cousins and having the best time. And not surprisingly, when you work in the garden, your hands get dirty. So one afternoon after working in the garden, I went in and was washing my hands, and all of a sudden it clicked for me that the water coming off my hands was yellow, because apparently there's some kind of pollen in our backyard, whether it's from the trees or the tomatoes, whatever it is, that is yellow, that was not visible to me until that specific moment, because I don't really pay attention to what's coming off my hands when I'm washing my hands. But I noticed that I had to wash my hands. They appeared clean, but I had to wash my hands 3 or 4 times before the water ran clear. And that's when I noticed that in all likelihood, both my husband and I were unknowingly wiping yellow pollen on our towels. Not because we hadn't washed our hands, but because this stuff was, it settled in somehow, that even if your hands looked clean, there was still yellow pollen on them. So, many of my favorite towels now have these yellow stains on them, which is not really a big deal, but this is the conversation I thought perhaps we could have, which is, what is your towel philosophy? At what point do you give up a towel and give yourself permission to get new ones? Growing up, we always used towels to within an inch of their lives, right? Towels were not fashion accessories. They were to be utilized. So if it was fraying at the end, it was okay because it still worked. You needed a towel to dry things off. And there's quite often a life cycle to a towel where a towel might start off new. I know in my parents' house, my mother had guest towels, which would only come out when company was coming over. She had these beautiful blue tea towels that had gold embroidery on them. Not real gold, of course, just gold thread, gold-colored thread, or pink towels. And they would get hung in the bathroom downstairs when we had company over. I will tell you, after my mom passed and we had to dismantle the home, I have several of her guest towels, which will not be used for guests. They just bring me comfort. And then there were the everyday towels. And when the everyday towels, and this would be years into their lifespan, would get too frayed, they would become work towels. Like they would be relegated to the basement. So if there was a flood or we spilled water, or when we had dogs, if the dogs came in and they were muddy, they would then become the dog towels or the flood towels. And so there was always an abundance of towels in various stages of their life cycle in our home. And as an adult now, I struggle with allocating towels to their appropriate utilization phase of life. Like these lilac Nate Berkus towels that I have loved for so long. Now they have these little yellow splotches on them and they no longer look nice. Have I reached the precipice where they now have to be brought into another category of usefulness? So they still can be used, but is it time for new towels? And I already have a linen closet full of towels that we don't use on a regular basis. But there was a time in life where we had kids staying with us, and we had visitors, and we had a cat, and we needed towels for everyone, and all kinds of different life situations. And over the years, I've rotated some of them out, but I don't have room for more. And so, is it time to do another shuffling of my towels? It's really a first world problem, and I really don't spend much time thinking about this. It just floated through my consciousness this morning as I was preparing for this episode, and I thought, what's the rule book on towels? Can I give myself permission to get new towels that don't have these yellow stains on them? And now that I know about the yellow stains, we're much more careful. When we come in after harvesting our tomatoes, I remind Wes, wash your hands like 3 or 4 times and make sure the water is clear before using the towels. So I think I've solved the problem, but in the meanwhile, what do I do about the towels? So I guess another couple towels I can introduce you to that are in our lives are these big bath sheets that we loved, that we got when we were married. So getting married is an amazing thing. Hopefully, God willing, you're marrying your favorite person on the planet, and then you're going to have an amazing life together. And oh, by the way, in all likelihood, presents are involved. So my husband and I I can't remember if they were purchased off our registry or if someone gave us a gift card. But we had a gift card, I guess, where we got to go shopping at Bloomingdale's, which is not a store I would usually shop at because it's a higher end store and I typically don't shop that way. And my husband is very into texture. He loves soft material. And we approached this display of very expensive bath sheets. They were Calvin Klein towels, and they were pink. We both liked pink for towels, and they were so soft, and they were very expensive. But they were part of our wedding present, is how we were contemplating it. And so we bought them. And they have held up so well over the years, but towels don't, at least the way I do laundry anyways, don't always maintain their softness. And I have heard that you never put fabric softener or the dryer sheets in with towels because it reduces their absorption. So I've been contemplating getting us towels that are soft once again, or trying to strip the old towels by laundering them in vinegar. I've heard that that can help bring back a towel's softness. So I don't want you to think that I'm staying up nights thinking about towels, but these are just all of those fleeting thoughts that I have periodically as I contemplate my towels in my house, when I look at a towel and I'm like, is it time to donate this to the animal shelter? Because they always need towels and blankets, so it's not as if I would throw them out. I would repurpose them somehow. I feel like as an adult, I have not mastered the art of circulating towels in and out of life. Like, I grew up, a towel just always was. You brought the towel in your house and it always stayed with you, right? It might shift its utilization method over time. And our kitchen towels, because you have different towels for I do. I have different towels for the kitchen. At least in my home, kitchen towels, they're like warrior towels, right? They see everything. They see the food, they see the dirt, they see intense utilization, and in our home at least, they tend not to hold up really well. I mean, they still function, but they're not pristine anymore. Which is okay, right? They're for the kitchen. They're not guest towels. And so our towels had not been looking very good. They'd been worse for wear. And so a few months ago, I met my sister and her family in Palm Desert, California. And Palm Desert is a higher end community. And so I went to their Home Goods. Home Goods is sort of like the TJ Maxx or Marshalls. And they had such better inventory than they do at my Home Goods where I shop. And I saw these beautiful, thick, absorbent, yellow kitchen towels. And I knew I had to have them because our kitchen is yellow. So I made the executive decision to purchase these towels. And so now I've had them for a few months. And I am monitoring the health of these towels now. I know at some point they're going to get faded. I know at some point they will get stained because we use them in the kitchen. It's not like we're wiping, saucy hands on these towels, but there are towel casualties in life. It's just how life works, because life is messy. But right now, all 4 of these golden, beautiful yellow towels, they still look really nice. And so I am monitoring them. And again, is it time to retire some of our other towels now that I purchased these? And what is the rule book about towels? And I will just say I am so fortunate to have this problem because it means that I have a home where I can store towels. It means that I have towels to be stored. It means that I have running water so I can wash things all the time that need to be dried. So a really good problem to have. And I will say I'm grateful. We are blessed to have a washer and dryer in our house so I can wash things like towels when they need to be washed. But sometimes I think in the keeping house, right? Like, how do we take care of things? Like sheets, I'm much more comfortable replacing because sheets, we sleep in them for 8 hours each sleep cycle, and they wear out, at least the ones I buy, wear out more quickly, versus towels tend to last a little longer. And I also thought, since we're talking about towels, I will throw in a towel memory or 2 for you. So one of my favorite towels I ever owned, my cousin Susie also owned a set of. And they were towels that I believe we must have purchased at Robinson's May before it was Macy's. And there was a paisley design on the ends that was pink and gray. And there was also a design that was green and purple that I had, but I think my cousin only had the pink and gray ones. I had the pink and gray ones as well. And they were gorgeous towels. And I know I used them until they were frayed and really no longer beautiful. They definitely became cat towels at some point. And they had to be retired to the big towel heaven in the sky. And so those were some of my favorite towels, and I loved that my cousin and I both had the same towels. That was really, I don't know. I love when we get to share things with each other, right? I think we shopped at the same time, and I seem to recall we bought them at the same time. We were excited about them, and I also bought the green and purple ones. I've always loved the way green and purple look together. Which brings me to another towelish memory. This is going to be a bathroom rug memory. So in my first ever apartment, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with a friend of mine in Chicago when I was working for the TV station. And I found this rug that was green and purple. So one half of it was mostly purple with a little bit of green, and the other half of it was mostly green with a little bit of purple. You have to remember this was the 80s. In the 80s, everything was extra. Everything was bright. Everything was bold. And I loved this rug. I thought it was so beautiful. And I got green towels and purple towels because you wanted to have a matching set in the bathroom. That's what I wanted anyways. And I remember how much my roommate hated this rug. She hated it, but I loved it. So every week we swapped out the towel and bathroom rug decor of our bathroom. So one week I got purple and green. The next week, I don't remember what hers was. Let's say it was pink. And so every week we rotated because of how much she disliked my beloved purple and green rug. And that purple and green rug was with me for many, many years. Until at some point it bit the dust. I don't remember what happened to it, but alas, textiles do not always last forever. But I actually still have one of the green towels. So this would be criminies, like 40 years later. It is so threadbare. It has been used, but it's a perfect towel for putting down on a wet floor. You know, the kinds of towels that, if it's raining and muddy and people are coming in and out of the house, that you put down on the floor and you don't think about. Because it doesn't matter if it gets muddy or dirty. We have a couple of towels like that especially we used when we had the cat, because he was an indoor-outdoor cat. He came to us that way, just so you know, so don't get mad that we were irresponsible and let our cat go outside, if that might be one of your things. He came to us that way. So he would come in after it had been raining and would be very unhappy with us, but we would wipe off his little paws and wipe him down a little bit. And he would be completely annoyed with us, of course, because he's a cat, or was a cat. He has since gone on to the Rainbow Bridge. And so we had a lot of cat towels. So now, as an adult with full license to do what I want with our personal towel inventory, I'll have to think about what to do about our towels now. Because every time I look at those beautiful lilac towels with the yellow stains on them that I cannot seem to get out, I get mildly annoyed. And is it worth it? Like, can I donate those towels to our animal shelter where they will then become dog and cat and perhaps bunny towels and live a good life? Like, maybe there's another life for them to live. And I can get other towels that perhaps can be pristine for a little while. I will also share about a few more towels in my life, in our life. Wes and I once bought these beautiful floral towels. They're so sweet. They've got these, they must be roses on them, these little roses, very shabby chic-esque, on a white background. And we have loved them so much, we have never actually let anyone use them. So we don't really have company over. When we have people over, it's my husband's kids who are now grown up. It's family. And my mother would not be happy with me about this, but we don't put out guest towels for family. My mother always would put out guest towels for family when family visited. We don't do that. I'm a let me serve you dinner on Chinette kind of person. I'm not terribly domestic. It is not my gift. And so we have these really beautiful floral towels that the only time we see them is when I rearrange the linen closet and I take everything out and refold it and kind of do an inventory of what we have and then decide what we're going to do with everything. And whenever I do that, Wes and I look at those towels and we say to each other, they are so pretty. So we have these beautiful floral towels that sit in our closet that simply delight us every few years, but we have not used. I don't know what would have to change in life to bring those into rotation. I know, isn't this a weird conversation? I've never really contemplated towels in this way, but it came to me this morning as I was contemplating at what point can I give myself permission to replace these pollen-colored towels? Can I let them go already? Lesson learned. Ever since I realized that the yellow was coming off of my hands when I worked in the garden, I now wear gloves when I work in the garden, so that I am not transferring the yellow around the house, because it's not really visible until it gets wiped on a piece of fabric. Like, I could look at my hands and I don't see the yellow. Even if I've washed them, I think my hands are clean. And then I go wipe, 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 and all of a sudden my towel is yellow. I am not really good at the domestic stuff. I'm sure there must be something that can be done to get the yellow off. I don't know. But do I have to solve that problem? Of all the problems that I have to somehow find solutions for, is that one of them? Or can I just go to Home Goods and buy new towels? I can, right? Like, I can go to Home Goods and just buy some new towels and either move these into the rotation for towels we use when something happens in the house, or I can donate them to our animal shelter. Like, I have permission to do that, right? Like, that's okay. So now, if you ever come to our home and you wash your hands and use one of our towels, now you will know a little bit about the journey of that towel in our home, the life cycle of a towel. It's interesting. I bet you're thinking about your towels now. What are your go-to towels in your home? How long have you had them? When was the last time you bought yourself a new towel? And I don't mean to assume that you can. I just mean if that is within your ability of discretionary income. Are you a new towel person? What do you do with your old towels? I don't know why towels present this conundrum to me where other things don't. You know, with clothes, if I clean out my closet, I have no problem donating my clothes because I know somebody hopefully will use them. But for some reason, I'm a little bit more confused about towels. So there you have it. How is that for a very benign, sleep-worthy conversation about an everyday object that we use in life? And how do we decide the life cycle of it? So there you go. Something to think about as you drift off to sleep or as you look at your towels. How did they come into your life? How long have they been there? Where are they in their life cycle with you? So I am very thankful for all of our towels. I'm grateful to live a life where I have them, where I have options. I'm grateful to have a linen closet where I can store them, even if it gets messy. Because I don't know about you, but I am not always great about folding things neatly and putting them away. I sometimes use the shove method and then close the doors. I don't mean to make that sound as brutal as I did, but I mean, like, if there's a little space, I'll kind of shove the towel in there and then close the doors until I realize that I kind of have a hot mess in there. And then I take everything out and start over again. which now I'm going to have to do now that I've had this conversation with you. I have a feeling in the next few weeks there will be a dismantling of the towel inventory in our linen closet and a reallocation of our assets, our towel assets. It's time, and I will give away the towels to the animal shelter because they can be well used. They can have an even longer life there. So I have decided this with you just now. You have been present for how my executive function works when it comes to towels. Feel free to share your towel stories with me, and we can bore each other with benign, mundane, everyday contemplations about the things we utilize day to day in our homes. Thank you for allowing me to ramble with you and share love with you and just keep each other company. So I love you very much. I wish you the sweetest of dreams. Thank you.